Welcome into day 5 of the Arrowhead Addict podcast, live from the Super Bowl on Radio Row. Patrick Allen, Matt Verderame. Hey, Verderame, no 3.5 hour stream today. It's a short one.
No, it's true. I got to take my credential off so the NFL doesn't come after me.
Yes, indeed.
So that's right. Only an hour. Yesterday was like the siege.
Yes, yeah,
and
it was.
now and this is like a vacation.
Yeah.
1 hour. We got a couple of interviews coming up. Tony Gonzalez, Aidan Hutchinson.
Yeah.
So really, you won't even have to listen to us be dopes. You'll have actually 2 people who know what they're talking about.
Right. Yeah. It's a big win for you all out there.
Yeah.
I got to say, man, yesterday, this stuff takes a lot out of you. I've been tired all week.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah,
man. But it's fun, man. Who can complain about this job?
Yeah. Right. It takes an emotional toll. By the way, shout out to one of our members. If you're a fan of the Arrowhead Addict podcast, you can consider becoming a member. You can check out the link in the description. One of our members, last night, we're hanging out at the bar getting some drinks, and he says, my grandma got me 2 tickets to the Super Bowl, and he just got in the car immediately. He's driving 18 hours down here. How cool is that?
That's awesome.
Yeah. I asked him if he needed a date. Sounds like he's already got one, and that's bad news for me.
It's a shame.
Yeah, yep.
You're going to be in the boat with my dad just sitting there watching the game on TV somewhere.
Watching it on TV.
Hey, look, you know what the nice thing is? Obviously, everybody's hoping the Chiefs win. Yep. If they don't win, at least you didn't spend a lot of money on tickets.
That's right. Yeah, that's the big thing. I can't imagine dropping like $5,000 on a Super Bowl ticket and then just. Oof.
Oh, I mean that's the part of it. It's like if you knew, you were omnipotent, you're like, oh, they're going to win.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Then maybe it's worth it. Like, if you don't know, man.
If I knew they were going to win, I'd mortgage the house.
You're right.
Yeah.
Right. Then it's worth it.
Yeah. By the way, before we get to again, we got Tony Gonzalez, the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Tony Gonzalez coming up. Super excited about that one. If you want to help us out, first of all, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button. Let's get as many Chiefs fans in here for this Tony G interview that's coming right up. But if you want to help out our podcast, go to arrowheadaddict.com/bets. We have a ton of betting promos there. If there's a sports book, if you bet and you haven't bet with them yet and you don't have an account and you want to support our podcast so that we can come back here next year, it's going to be in Las Vegas. It's going to be a hell of a lot more expensive in Las Vegas. Go to arrowheadaddict.com/bets. Sign up with one of our affiliate partners. Make a $10 wager, and we get paid. That helps us keep Sterling on the show. It helps us keep Adam Best on the show. Helps us keep paying producer Richard. And it helps us come out to really awesome events like this so that we can give you the kind of coverage that we've been able to give you all week. And I hope you all have appreciated it. I hope we did a good job for you. It's kind of an honor to be relaying all this information and try to ask questions on behalf of you guys out there.
Yeah, no, it's been great. And honestly, the way Radio Row usually works is Monday and Tuesday are kind of quiet, and then Wednesday and Thursday steam really picks up, and then Friday people start to empty out of here. It is not emptying out. No. There are a lot of people around here as we're getting toward the weekend. And so what you will see, though, if you're down in Phoenix, if you're coming down, is tons of fans start pouring into the city.
Yeah.
And a lot of the radio stations and everybody else, if you're not covering the game, pouring out of here. So it's kind of fun to watch the shift from a bunch of media. You see people walking around with cameras and tripods, and then all of a sudden it's like everybody's just in the Eagles or a Chiefs jersey.
Right.
So that's a lot of fun.
It is. It's been really incredible down here. The Uber prices keep going up and up and up every day. Some breaking news from last night was the NFL honors, and as expected, Patrick Mahomes wins his second MVP. I wanted to ask you about that, Verderame. What's the significance of winning a second NFL MVP?
Okay, so here's the full list of quarterbacks who have won multiple MVP awards and won multiple Super Bowls as a starter, which, of course, Mahomes will do if he wins on Sunday. Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. That's the entire list. That's the entire list. I mean, I think because Brady skewed everything so much with 7 Super Bowls, like people aren't understanding of like what Mahomes is doing right now. Obviously, don't know if he's going to win a second one yet, but we do know he's won 2 MVPs. And even that alone, I mean, the list of quarterbacks who have won 2 NFL MVP awards is minute. You're talking about Johnny Unitas, okay, who won 3 of them. You're talking about Joe Montana, who won back-to-back 89, 90. Steve Young won 2 of them. Brett Favre won 3 in a row. Only guy ever to do that. Warner won 2. Peyton Manning won 5. Rodgers won 4. Brady won 3. That's it. I mean, that's the entire – every single one of those guys either in the Hall of Fame, as a no-doubter Hall of Fame, by the way, or is Rodgers, Brady not eligible yet? Of course, Mahomes as well. But I mean, it's an exclusive club to say the least.
And I don't think it was close. He did not get. He was not a unanimous
48
MVP.
of the 50 votes.
No, I mean, it wasn't close, like, between him and anybody else. Like, if you wanted to make that argument. I think you look at the performances this year. I would say, honestly, the second would be, for me, Justin Jefferson. I thought Justin Jefferson had an incredible year.
I would tend to agree with you. I think Jefferson. I saw somebody voted for Josh Allen.
I saw that.
Why? Like, wouldn't you vote? Like, Burrow didn't get a vote, but Josh Allen did.
Right.
Based on what?
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
October.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. It was kind of a weird thing, but yeah, I mean. Look, I think the only two guys who got votes other than him were, I think Hurts got one, I believe it was, and I think Allen got another.
Yeah.
So not surprising. There's only been one unanimous MVP in NFL history. It was Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
That's it. So, also, I saw Geno got like a ladder place. I forget if it was second or third or whatever. Geno Smith. Man's got more votes than Russell Wilson. So.
There you go.
Just a fun little tidbit.
Geno Smith, the comeback player of the year.
Yeah, well deserved.
Yeah. And there were some good candidates this year. I mean, you had Saquon Barkley coming back from injury. But I just think for Geno Smith, when you look at his comeback, it's usually somebody who had an injury, missed
hurt,
a year.
Right, maybe battled a sickness and illness.
Yeah, but when you think of the spirit of the award, Geno was almost out of football. He was sort of fading away. And when you think about like how he came into the league, and to have this, and now it sounds like he's going to get paid.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's going to get paid. He's a free agent.
Yeah, good for Geno Smith. That's really awesome. Excited for him. And, of course, when Eric Berry won it after dealing with cancer, that's another just incredible feat.
They honored DeMar Hamlin and the medical team, which was awesome. The Jets swept the Rookie of the Year awards.
Yeah.
And well-deserved. Garrett Wilson, who we talked to earlier this week, Sauce Gardner.
Incredible player.
Nick Bosa won the Defensive Player of the Year, rightfully so. Chris Jones finished third, had some votes. Somebody on Twitter was joking, I forget who it was, said, it's too bad Hurts didn't win the MVP because then we'd know Mahomes was going to win the Super Bowl.
Right. Yep. It would be a guarantee.
That's true.
Yeah.
But, second MVP, 27 years old. Not bad.
Pretty good. And I think he'll have a chance to win one or two more before it's said and done. When you think about the guys that have won that award, he's just already in rare air. It's so exciting to be a Kansas City Chiefs fan at this point, and just to be like, we get to watch this guy.
Yeah.
He's not even 30 yet, as Tony Gonzalez is approaching our table.
Yes. Another
high water mark for us. By the way, Gina says she bought tickets to the Super Bowl on Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
And she says any chance she can find us and say hello and get an autograph.
Sure.
Shoot me a DM on Twitter if we can make it happen. We'd love to say hi.
Absolutely.
As Tony Gonzalez joins us.
What's up, guys?
How you doing, sir?
How are you?
How are you?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Matt.
Thanks for coming by.
Nice to see you guys.
It's an honor to get to interview you. We both grew up really big Chiefs fans. So,
nice.
You during some rough times as a Chiefs fan, you provided a lot
way to put it politely there.
We
sucked. We just sucked. We weren't good.
You made it bearable. Who are you working with today?
I'm with Bayer Aspirin.
Right.
It's Heart Month,
Yeah.
February, and out here something that hits close to home for me. My mother has heart disease. My aunt does. My grandmother, 104 years old, has heart disease. They all take Bayer aspirin for a long time too, way before I was with this partnership. But just bringing awareness. There's a crazy stat I just learned that your risk of heart attack doubles when you're rooting for your home team, which I thought was crazy, especially being a Chief fan coming up for this week. But they have a great website, checkyourheartrisk.com, and you go there, you take the survey. And it takes 5-10 minutes, and off of that, it'll spit out whether or not you're low risk, medium risk, high risk, and then help you formulate a plan if need be. And so, I love how they're driving awareness to taking care of your heart to keep you around for a while. So checkyourheartrisk.com.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. I know you've been a guy who's been out front for a long time about health, taking care of your body. How much has your regimen changed on a day-in, day-out basis from your playing days to now being in retirement and just trying to stay healthy just for your day-to-day life?
Obviously when you're playing, you are the most active you'll ever be.
Yeah.
And when I got done playing, I was burnt out, honestly. And I mean, still nutritionally, I always did that, the mindfulness, the meditation, all that other stuff. But I stopped working out. I wasn't doing anything too active. And luckily, genetics, I'm not going to – we don't have that in my family. But – I wasn't feeling good, and I just started working out this last year, again, and it's been the best thing I ever did. I feel so stupid that I did not do that before. I would go for walks, and I was always active, ride bikes and stuff like that. But actually getting in there, starting lifting weights again, started doing cardio again, and I feel so silly that I did not do that because I just feel better emotionally, spiritually, physically.
Yeah. Well, you look great. You look like you could go out there and play right now.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I wish I could play right now.
I think somebody might take a chance on you.
The Chiefs' little 2 tight end set with you and Kelsey.
Yeah.
That's all I need. 5 plays.
That's
go get
it.
a Super Bowl
Right,
ring and
right.
get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be too late to get you on the roster for this year, but next year. Now, when you broke in on the NFL scene, I remember, I was becoming a big football fan, and I remember the conversation around you at the time was, you were revolutionizing the position at the time. Obviously, you played for a really long time. How did the position evolve during your career, and how has it continued to evolve since you retired?
It's incredible. I got lucky. I had an offensive coordinator named Jimmy Ray out there in Kansas City. And he believed in me and said, hey, we're not just going to line you up at that tight end position. We're going to put you in the slot. We're going to put you out at receiver. We're going to put you in the backfield. Yeah. And so that's kind of where this whole thing started. Now you see tight ends. A lot of them don't even put their hand in the dirt anymore. And I have no problem with that. I'm not going to be that old guy going, well, you don't have to block like I did.
Right.
But we also blocked back in the day.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. And you see what Travis Kelce has done to the position. You see what a guy like Kyle Pitts, I don't know if you've ever seen him. He's like a freak when you see the unicorns. Yeah. Darren Waller, I saw him walking around here. These guys are so big and so athletic. And the way the league has gone too, it's a pass-first league. It's 40, 50 times throwing sometimes in a game. The numbers that these guys are putting up, it's been fun to watch.
Your career, you spanned 17 seasons. You had 14 Pro Bowls. You did okay. Your last year, you had 83 catches, almost 900 yards. Did you ever think to yourself, like, I could just keep going? It wasn't like you were one of these guys, you're like at the end of it, like, probably ought to hang it up. You're still one of the best players in the league at your position.
Yeah, and I knew that at the time too, but it was a conscious decision. I had planned on retiring actually the year before. When we went to the NFC Championship game, I was like, it's Super Bowl or bust this year, and we got really, really close. But when we lost to the 49ers in the NFC Championship game, Colin Kaepernick and those guys, and it hurts so bad. It's the most pain I've ever felt. And I was like, I can't go out like this. I gotta come back. And so when I did come back, we weren't that good. I think we won 2 games that year. Everybody got hurt. But after that, it was real easy for me to walk away. I was like, I've gotten everything I wanted. We were clearly in rebuild mode at that point. Yeah. They did go to the Super Bowl, but they didn't go until 3 years later with Matt Ryan. Obviously, the meltdown in the Super Bowl.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, I knew that, and I was like, I can't be part of rebuild anymore.
I think one of the most impressive things about your career, having played so long, but you were so remarkably consistent, and I came across this stat today, which I didn't know. You played in 270 games in your career. There were only 5 of them in which you didn't record a catch, and the majority of those came your rookie year.
Yeah.
How were you so consistent going through different quarterbacks, offensive systems, coaching changes, team changes?
Yeah, it's tough. Honestly, hard work. Discipline. You focus, communication. I think that's a big deal. Playing with some of these quarterbacks like Tyler Thigpen and Brody Croyle and guys that you might nobody really even knows about. They're young guys, inexperienced, but we did a lot of communicating. Like, hey, this is where I like it. This is where I'm going to be. Where do you like it? Where can I be there to help you? Because we got to keep it rolling. And like I said, we talked about at the top, we just weren't that good. Yeah. But we had to go out there and make it work. I'm not going to sit around and lay and say, "Woe is me." Let's make something happen.
Well, let's talk about a year you were pretty good. 2003, you guys offensively for that stretch, those couple of years there, if not the best offense in the league, top 2, top 3. What was it like just being on that offense, knowing that we probably hang 30 on just about anybody? Great offensive line. We had Tony Richardson here yesterday.
Yeah.
He was talking about you had basically 6 offensive linemen with Jason Dunn.
Yep.
Just talk a little bit about, if you could, how special it was to be a part of that offense. You guys were going out and putting up, really at the time, historic numbers.
Yeah, you look at the numbers now compared to what the guys do today. It's probably like, you guys are all right.
It's a little unfair to
but
compare.
But at the time, it was phenomenal. One of the best offensive lines in NFL history, Hall of Famers, Will Shields, Willie Roaf, Brian Waters, maybe a Hall of Famer, and then Jason Dunn. And I consider myself a pretty good blocker too. Yeah. It was one of those things like we would run 80 Storm Boss, which is like a sweep, and Priest would get the ball. He wouldn't even get touched till 5-6 yards down the field on his way to offensive MVP of the league that year. It was so special. It's just, but it's bittersweet because we didn't win. We didn't win, and we did well during the regular season. But when you get to the playoffs, you got to have that complete team. Nothing against the guys on defense, but it wasn't good enough. We couldn't. I mean, the game we played, there was no punts, and whoever had the ball last won, and that was Peyton Manning.
I know it can't replace actually having made it yourself, but as a Chiefs legend, do you get to at least some satisfaction vicariously through the team, all the success that they're having now?
Absolutely, and I don't know. I know Travis, I guess, pretty well, and that's it. Alan Wright, the head equipment manager, my guy. But that's really the only connection I have with the guys being on the team. Yeah. But the fans, I had a lot of relationships that I made out there in Kansas City, and I'm so happy for them because we couldn't get it done. Yeah. We couldn't. And I love walking around when people see me. They're like, "Hey, good luck this weekend. Good luck." I'm like, I'm not even playing. But just to be associated with them, I'm really happy for those fans. They finally got what they deserve in a team because it changes the mood of the city. Yeah. Everybody's happier. Chins are held high. That town is a sports town, and they're crazy about their Chiefs.
It sure is.
When you watch them, especially with Patrick Mahomes, now he threw for 5,200 yards this year, and it felt somewhat effortless, like you just watched the game. Well, 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's fine. Yeah. What is it like for you? I mean, a Hall of Fame pass catcher, to watch him and some of the things he does. You ever stop and think, like, if I had played with that, like the numbers I could have put up, or man, like I can't believe that happened on a football field, whether it's a no-look pass or him, throwing like a hook shot to McKinnon in Denver earlier this year.
Yeah.
Like, what do you see when you see Patrick Mahomes?
I see the next generation. I always say this comparison, but it's Steph Curry, where he comes into the league and he's doing stuff that nobody has ever seen. I mean, you're taking 35-foot jump shots or whatever and making them. Doing left-handed throws, like you said, and he's connecting on these plays. It's inspiring, and you see the younger generation now. They're doing this just like Steph was the only one doing it for a while. Now you see a lot of young players. They're doing it and they're hitting them. That's what's going to happen now. He's changed the game. I guess you could say like the tight end position. Like I was able to take the torch from some of these guys, and then do my thing. And then now you see all these other tight ends like, well, I can do what Tony just did. And now you see what Travis is doing, and he's taking it to this other level. And now all these other tight ends are doing the same thing. So Patrick is a trendsetter. He's well on his way to being one of the best quarterbacks of all time.
Yeah, you took the torch from a guy like Shannon Sharp, and then pass it off to a guy like Gronk. Obviously, Kelsey's at the top of the mountain now. When you look around the league, you mentioned watching some of them walk around here. Who do you think he's going to hand it off to? Who's going to be the next guy
that Travis hands it off to?
Yeah.
I think, God, I love Kyle Pitts, another team I played for in Atlanta.
Yeah.
If he had a down year, no doubt about it. Yeah. But that's a good thing. My second year in the league, I had a down year, led the NFL in drop passes, and it changed everything, though. And if he can dig deep and go through that dark time of his career, which he's going through right now, and get a quarterback, I think he can definitely take that torch. But it's always sometimes it's a guy out of nowhere that does, just like Travis, where third round draft choice. You're like, oh, who knows? Yeah. And he comes out and he just does this phenomenal stuff.
Yeah.
When you watch Travis Kelce, I mean, you know more about the tight end position than just about anybody. You haven't played it so long as well as you did. What do you look at and are most impressed by with him?
Travis.
Yeah.
What stands out. People always compare us, right? And like, okay, what's this? What's that? What I know he does better than me is when he gets the ball in his hands, he gets upfield better than I did. He can make guys – he can go score. When he catches the ball, you're like, okay, he can go about 30, 40 yards if not score a touchdown. Yeah. His ability to read the zone, the connection that he has with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid too. Like they've been doing this for so long. It's that Belichick, Gronk, Tom Brady connection. Yeah. It's unstoppable. It's unstoppable. Yeah. It's backyard football. And Patrick is so good that if you want to double team Travis, go ahead. You won't, because if you do that, he's going to kill you. And so that's why these guys, the numbers they're putting up right now, it's only going to – if Travis wants to, he's going to do this for the next 3-4 years, and he's going to have a chance to break my records.
Yeah.
I got to follow up on that. Like every week you hear, why don't teams just take away Kelce? Why don't they double him? Why don't they bracket him? Why don't they chip him? Whatever the case may be. And every week he goes out and has 8 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. Yeah. Why is it so hard to double him, to bracket him, whatever the case may be? Because it seems like it's talked about all the time, but nobody can do it.
Well, I think Andy Reid is a genius, is a play-calling genius. You got to have that, and you got to have a quarterback that trusts you, that, okay, even if he's covered, I'm still going to throw him the ball. And with a guy like Patrick Mahomes, all you need is a couple inches, and he's going to put that ball right on the money.
Yeah.
So, and I know Travis is absolutely humble about that, saying, hey, I'm playing with the best quarterback in the league, and so all I got to do is get a little bit of separation, and I'm going to make that play. But I think it just comes down to this. Travis is a phenomenal player. When it's all said and done, the same thing when I played. People were like, why don't they just double? And I did get double teamed, got triple teamed sometime, but I'm still going to make plays. That's what pros do. And that's when you become really good. I always say that first year that you pop off and you go to the Pro Bowl and everybody knows when you come back next year, everybody's got your number now. Yep. And that's when we'll see how good you really are. And Travis has proved that now to a Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Fame career.
We talked about passing the torch and the kids that are watching these players now. What about you when you were growing up? Who was your favorite player, and did you model your game after anybody?
Kellen Winslow. I watched a little bit of his tape. I watched Shannon Sharp, seeing what he did. But I watched a lot of receivers. I mean, a lot of the tight ends, when I started to do my thing, the other tight ends weren't doing it. I mean, there was nobody else to really look to say, okay, I want to do it like them. I was looking at receivers. I was looking at Terrell Owens because he was somebody who was like my height. And I know I'm not going to be Terrell. Yeah. But what I was like, he's 6'5" or whatever, and he's running his routes. I would look at the receivers and how they ran routes and how they come out of breaks and how they come back to the ball because that's who I wanted to be like. I'm like, obviously people love a tight end who can block, but if you want to make some money in this league and help your team out, you got to go catch the ball.
Sure. Last question. Chiefs-Eagles, Super Bowl, Sunday night. Who do you have and why?
Well, we had a chance to see both these teams this year on our Prime broadcast. Yeah. And so the Philly, San Francisco, to me, after they made a couple of trades, we had them too. San Francisco had the best roster. It's unfortunate what happened in that playoff game with Purdy getting hurt. Yep. Yeah. But Philly has the most complete roster. They're the best team out there. But there's a guy named Patrick Mahomes, and it's always a wild card. So I'm going to go with Kansas City. I think if Isaiah Pacheco can get churning out there, he brings that attitude, that funk to this offense that they need to go along with that quote-unquote finesse team. Yeah. And if they can run the ball, Patrick's going to be able to do his magic. And I think Chris Jones and Nick Bolt and the rest of that defense, that they step up and they do just enough. They won't stop them for 4 quarters. But I say 27-24, Chiefs.
Okay.
All
right. Tony Gonzalez, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Tony Gonzalez, Hall of Famer, Chiefs Hall of Famer, Falcons Hall of Famer. Just one of the absolute best to ever do it. But that was awesome, man.
Yeah, not
bad. What a great interview.
And I feel like, to be fair, he has gotten such a short end of the stick a lot of times in Kansas City.
Oh, 100%.
Because he wanted to get traded, and he went to Atlanta, and fans got so upset about it. And I gotta be honest, and I'm not just saying because we interviewed him. I genuinely feel this way. I've never understood that.
No.
They sucked.
Right. They were terrible.
The man was 33 years old, had given his entire career to complete nonsense, year in, year out, and finally just said, guys, listen, I got a couple years in the tank. Get something for me. Yeah. Didn't throw a hissy fit. Just said, look, man, just move me. Right. And then he goes to Atlanta and had 5 great years and retires. And, every once in a while there'd be like a quote out there that people be like, why doesn't he love Kansas City more? It's like he grew up in California. He played for the Chiefs, played for the Falcons. Like, it's okay. It's okay. Like, he can also love Falcons fans. And he deserves so much more than he got, in my opinion.
You're absolutely right. And the man just sat there and said, I was so happy for Chiefs fans because they deserved it. Like, don't latch on to one quote where the guy said that, like, playing in Atlanta made his career. Well, of course it did. They were
good.
Yeah, they actually were good. He had a shot to play for a Super Bowl. It doesn't diminish anything he did in Kansas City. But look, these guys, as Herm Edwards said, you play to win the game.
And the Chiefs did not because of Herm Edwards.
Right. Tony went out there, gave a Hall of Fame performance every single week.
Yep.
There was nothing more the man could have done for the Chiefs.
And when he played for the Chiefs, he was a model of consistency. Yeah. Phenomenal player.
Yeah.
I mean, he made the Pro Bowl 10 straight years in Kansas City.
Yeah.
10. And here's the list of quarterbacks he was playing with. Yeah. Elvis Gerbach, Trent Green, fair enough, Damon Heward, Tyler Thigpen, Brody Croyle.
I mean,
the man should be put in the Hall of Fame twice.
Those are third-string quarterbacks all the way through.
He deserves so much more credit. I think sometimes there's this mentality of like, we turned his back on. No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Like, the Chiefs turned their back on him for 10 years, and they couldn't get a quarterback.
Right.
So I'm thankful he came over, gave us a nice conversation there. He was – people – I think sometimes I honestly forget how ridiculous he was.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at his 15,000 yards as a tight end.
Yeah.
In an era where, as he correctly pointed out, not many guys were doing that.
He was blowing people's minds.
Oh my! I mean, he opened the door for Antonio Gates.
Yeah.
Right, for a guy like that. Everybody always talks about, you got to play basketball and all that.
There's another guy who doesn't
Jimmy
get enough
Graham.
credit. Is Antonio Gates.
It's just those guys aren't remembered as, because now, like right after they retired, it was immediately Gronk, and now it's Kelsey and Kittle and all these guys. But Gonzalez and Gates and even Jimmy Graham for a shorter period of time really changed the mold of what you're looking for in a tight end.
Yep. We're gonna have Aidan Hutchinson coming up from the Detroit Lions. That's a pretty good one. But Verderame and I actually met him this time last year when he was preparing for the NFL draft, so it's going to be good to catch up with him. But I wanted to ask you, I saw a tweet. This was actually funny. Forgive me, I can't remember who tweeted it, but they tweeted out who is going to be eligible for the next Hall of Fame class. Among those is Eric Berry.
Yes.
Matt Castle actually responded to that tweet and said, "Hey, don't forget about me. Hilarious guy."
Yes.
We got to get Matt Castle on the podcast.
We really do. He's funny.
Eric Berry. Is he Hall of Famer to you?
He's a really interesting case. You know what? My initial just gut reaction is, I think he's a Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro, comeback player of the year, all-decade team. First of all, let me just say this for people who don't know this. If you're on the all-decade team, you usually make the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, if you're a first-team guy, you make the Hall of Fame.
Right.
If you're a second-team all-decade, you got a damn good shot. The only thing for him that hurts him is his career was a little shorter.
Yeah.
But he was a great player.
Fantastic.
I mean, to me, yes. Like when he played, he was the best safety in football. I mean, him, the guys in Seattle, right? I mean, the tail end of Reed and Polamalu, but he was dominant. Made the Pro Bowl as a rookie. Played all the way through. To me, he's a Hall of Fame. The only thing that hurts him is he really only played 5 full seasons. The other years he was hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. Some guys burn bright for a short period of time. That's why I still believe that Jamal Charles should get consideration for the Hall of Fame.
He's also a first-year candidate.
Yeah. I mean, when somebody is the best you've ever seen, or one of the best you've ever seen play the position. Now, obviously, you run into the longevity thing, and then, where do you draw the line, right? Like, oh, yeah, remember when that guy had that really great game? You're not putting him in the Hall of Fame. But, I feel like Jamal Charles did it enough seasons to where, and especially when you compare him to other guys that are in the Hall of Fame with similar stats, and there's no question he's one of the best to ever lace him up.
And for Berry, by the way, only three guys made it as a safety for that all-decade team, and it was him, Eric Weddle, and Earl Thomas. And I have respect for Weddle. Weddle was terrific. He was not Eric Berry.
Yeah.
The Thomas was a free safety. He's a different type of player, different thing. But I just think sometimes you have to look at the whole situation. But Jamal Charles is a fascinating one. Jamal Charles, I do not think will get in. But, man, it's a shame, really, if he doesn't, because he was a phenomenal player. I've always felt I'd rather have the guy who was truly great for 5 years, 6 years, than the guy who compiled for 15.
Yeah.
I said that I always used to argue that for Terrell Davis. Terrell Davis was a Hall of Famer. I don't care if he only played 6 years. Did you see Terrell Davis?
Right.
My argument is always, and my threshold is always going to be, if I needed you for one game, would I rather have you or you? I mean, you're going to tell me you'd rather have Jerome Bettis over Jamal Charles?
Right.
There's no way in hell.
No chance.
Right? So, to me, that's always kind of my threshold. I think Charles was a Hall of Fame talent. I don't think he gets in. I do think that Berry eventually gets in.
If you eventually get a Hall of Fame vote, I know you don't have one yet. You're friends with a lot of people who do, so you're very familiar with the process and behind the scenes. If you ever get a Hall of Fame vote and you had the shot, would you stand up for Jamal Charles and would you vote for him?
I would. I would vote for him because, look, something like that is so prestigious and so important. You take any emotion out of it. You have to. But I go by what I just said. It's the same reason I would have voted for Terrell Davis.
Right.
Now, Terrell Davis had the postseason. I get it. He had the 2,000-yard season. Jamal Charles was a force of nature on a team where most of his career, he was the only guy.
Right.
I mean, you were putting 8 in the box every play against him. It didn't matter.
And they couldn't block, by the way.
They were brutal. They were a brutal team.
Yeah.
I would absolutely stand up and say, look, this guy should be counted. I'm not putting in and I know he's a guy who gets a lot of attention. I'm not putting in Fred Taylor over Jamal Charles. I'm sorry, I'm not.
Nope.
I'm not even having that. Like, I would absolutely. I'll give you a guy who I think ought to get more shine, and he's probably never going to get in because for a lot of his career, he played on a lousy team and then actually played a very good team to end it. Corey Dillon. Corey Dillon's a guy, 11,000 yards, 4 Pro Bowls, never made an All-Pro team. People are like, the man was on garbage his entire career until he went to New England at the very end and won a Super Bowl. Like, and by the way, people forget this. I even forget this sometimes. He went to New England in 2004, so he won the 3rd of those 3 Super Bowls. He was 30 years old. He rushed for 1,635 yards that year.
Holy cow.
Like, could you imagine what that man would have done on a decent team?
Yeah.
And it's like, you never hear him brought up ever. He should absolutely be in the Hall of Fame. Also, his nickname on Pro Football Reference is Clock Killing Corey Dillon. For that alone, put him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. You know, one thing, going back to Tony, that he said, it made me feel really good just as a pseudo analyst and fan, because I talk about this all the time. Whenever I talk about that Chiefs offensive line, I talk about them running sweeps and tosses with Priest Holmes behind that line, and he would just, and Tony said it. Literally, what I'm always saying, he wouldn't get touched. He'd walk in, and that was true. It was like if they got down to the 5-yard line, good night.
Yeah,
he's walking into the end zone. You might as well just concede the points so you can get the ball back quicker. I mean, those guys were unbelievable.
They were great too, in the sense like there would be times where they'd run the ball, and you'd see like Willie Roaf pull out, and there'd be a 180-pound corner. Like, that man's in need of a funeral.
Yeah.
Like, you had guys, if you go back and watch some of those tapes, like the amount of business decisions made on the edge, I don't even blame those guys. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine having Willie Roaf pull around the corner and you're like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna let Bob over here make the tackle.
Right.
Like, I don't care.
And speaking of Willie Roaf, man, near the end there, man could barely move, was still the best tackle on the field. I mean, Carl, it was like one of those situations, where like in the movies where someone's like, let me die. Like, poor Willie Roaf was like, the man was so banged up, and he kept trying to retire. And I don't know what Carl Peterson had on him.
Pulling him back out.
Yeah, he kept going. I remember all offseason I'd be reading, the newspaper, and I'd be like, Carl Peterson's trying to get Willie Roaf to come back for one more year. And I was like, come on, Willie. Yeah. And he was still just incredible. Yeah. I mean, and they traded for him, right, for Saints.
Yeah, and didn't give up a ton either. Like, for reasons I'll never understand, the Saints were just like, yeah, he's all right, we're good.
Yeah.
Willie Roaf was incredible, and obviously, made it into the Hall of Fame, rightfully so.
Yeah.
But he played for a long enough time. He made 2 all-decade teams.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you were curious, here's what the Chiefs traded for Willie Roaf. A conditional pick. Nice job with the Saints there.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Yeah. Carl catches some flack, and rightfully so. That was a good one.
That worked out.
Yeah, good move by Carl.
That worked out okay.
Shout out to the super chat from Bumpa, our guy.
Thank you, man.
Heard an update on Snead's knee. We need him. Yeah, you ain't kidding.
Diana Rossini tweeted out that a little banged up, nothing serious. It won't affect his status in the game.
Yeah. And, another from the chat, Miller says, Charles is the reason I became a Chiefs fan. I'm a somewhat younger fan, but Charles was electric when he was healthy. It's kind of cool to see that as you and I got to sit here and geek out about Joe Montana and Tony Gonzalez, guys that were part of our young fandom. It's cool to hear sort of the next generation of Chiefs fans and the players that brought them in. I'm still waiting for somebody who's like, man, I know they didn't win a lot of games, but Tyler Thigpen was electric.
Yeah.
He was electric running around out there.
You're going to be waiting.
I will say he's the only thing that made that season. And shout out to Chan Gailey, by the way, who figured out how to create an offense, usually for about a half a game. They look like an actual football team.
And then not so much.
Yeah, and then that was it. But that was kind of an impossible job.
Oh, they were brutal.
They
were a brutal football team. Chan Gailey, Hall of Fame consideration for that alone.
Yeah, he's a big socks and sandals guy, by the way.
Is he?
Chan Gailey.
It's a shame.
Yeah, I always used to see. Who was some of your favorite? Like, one of my favorite people to write about with the Chiefs was Dick Curl, former quarterback coach of the Chiefs. One, hilarious name.
Yes.
Two, my nickname. Because remember, like when I covered the Chiefs, when I ran the website, Arrowhead Addict, they were so bad. I was in the same boat that Tony was in. And, Dick Curl was the quarterback coach. All of our quarterbacks were terrible. Our nickname on the website for him was Father Time. And we were like, you just were looking at the team and you're like, man, we got this guy. He's older than dirt.
Yeah.
You know, our quarterbacks stink. Our team stinks. Can we just get something that works around here? It was fun coming up with nicknames for the teams when they stunk. Look, don't get me wrong. I know Matt Connor's having a blast covering the team when they're good.
Yeah.
But when you're writing about a football team, it's kind of fun when they stink.
I remember, so at that time, I was a desk writer at SB Nation.
Yeah.
And one of my assignments was a lot of times like to write like 4 or 5 of the game previews for the week. So I'd always take them because even though they stunk, I'm like, I'll write about that. Why not?
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I ripped them so bad in an article that my editor would be like, Verderame, come on.
Yeah.
We got to pare us down by 100 words. You got to tone it down a little bit.
Take it easy.
Oh,
Take it easy.
Oh.
So we've got a problem here. They just brought the bounty and they brought the wings. And the wings,
It's off limit.
I think the wings are probably not safe for consumption, but they look and smell incredible. And it's funny that we're working with bounty here because, some people like the napkin. Like when I'm eating wings, I'm a paper towel guy.
Yeah, you need
And
it.
this is, Kansas City, the
not big
barbecue.
enough.
You got to go paper towel.
Yeah, the napkin's not big enough.
And sometimes you go to these barbecue joints and they give you the cheap paper towel.
It's a disgrace.
Right? And they disintegrate in your hand. Or worse, they give you those tiny little napkins that are like that big.
Yeah, those bullshit
Yeah,
towelettes.
yeah.
What am I supposed to do with this?
This is what I need right here is
an entire roll of it.
Yeah. So my wife, God bless her, always we got Aidan Hutchinson. You're gonna have to wait for that story. Actually, it might be better if I don't tell it.
Yeah, it's probably for the best. Hi, how are you?
How you doing, Aidan?
Aidan, what's going on?
Hey.
How are you?
Good to see you, man. Good to
man.
see you.
Good. Grab a seat.
So tell us about you're working together here with Bounty, yeah?
Yeah. I'm with here with Bounty because you can't have football without wings, and you can't have wings without Bounty. So, whenever you're eating wings, man, get your cooker picker upper and go wipe your face and go wipe your fingers. You lick your fingers, it's a lot of germs, right?
Yeah.
So,
you got to look like a human being.
That's right. Be a person.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, what's your favorite kind of wing? You bone-in, boneless? What kind of sauce you going with?
Honestly, I don't really have a preference. If I'm feeling lazy, I'll go boneless. But if I want a really good wing, I'll get my bone-in flats. Barbecue.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's my vibe.
Well, you need the protein, right?
Oh yeah, no doubt.
So you probably don't remember. We met you a year ago this week.
Yeah, but Sports Academy.
At the Sports Academy. We came to watch you work out. You're getting ready for the draft.
Yeah.
We were watching you do push-ups with plates on your back.
Yeah, that was intense.
Oh yeah.
Impressive.
Yeah.
We both said at the time, like, "Hey man, we got to get to the gym." As you can see,
we're still waiting to get there.
Yeah.
But it's been close.
What was the transition like from you from college to the pros? You're playing a longer season.
Yeah, no doubt.
How did it go for you?
Yeah, it was different, man. Like the skill level with the offensive line, man. It never really falters. I mean, there's some elite guys every here and then, but that skill level is very consistent compared to college. And then also just the style of the game. The NFL style is different. I think it's more beneficial to pass rushers too, just because more play action. Quarterbacks holding on to that ball a little bit longer, but it's something I had to get used to that for real too.
Now, you had 3 sacks in your second game.
Yeah.
3 sacks against Washington. Did you walk out of that game feeling like, no, it's going to be pretty easy?
Yeah,
I'm rolling on. I mean, 3 sacks in your second NFL game. It could set you up for thinking you might have like 25 sacks in the year.
I know, and I was feeling like I could do that every game. But, unfortunately, it doesn't happen every game. But, no, I could feel – when I got that, I was like – every game I was like, okay, it's going to be a 3-sacker right here. Who knows?
Yeah. You had you had 3 interceptions this year.
Yep.
So I have to ask, how did you do that? I don't think you had any picks in college, correct?
I never had any interceptions ever.
Yeah,
in my football
ever.
career.
Okay, so you get to the NFL, you rack up a bunch of sacks, over 50 tackles, 3 interceptions. How did you do it? And are the Lions thinking of taking a look at you at cornerback?
I mean, I'm willing to score some touchdowns. If you had to flex me in at tight end, I'm willing to do that. Yeah. So I'll talk to Dan about this soon, and then. I don't know about corner. I don't think I want to cover guys like Tyreek Hill,
Sure.
but you want to drop me back there. I got the sure hands to catch the ball.
Yeah. The good news is you get up and press.
Yeah.
You just can't let him get by you.
Oh yeah.
Get by you, it's a problem.
I'll play a little zone third. I don't mind that.
There you go, little cover 3. So you guys started out the year as a team, being in some close games, not being able to finish.
Yeah.
Second half of the year is totally different story. I believe you finished season 7-2.
Yep. Win
that big game in Lambeau.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people going into that night, because of the way everything had shook out, I mean, all the Packers have to do is win. The Lions are eliminated because Seattle had won.
Right.
And then you guys came out and showed the whole country, no, we're gonna come out and compete now.
Yeah.
How big of a win and how big of the end of the season was that for you guys? Now as you're getting ready for you to go in your second year, Dan Campbell, third year of the program.
It's so big, man, and it's a game going into. Everyone was saying we're playing for nothing, but as I go around Radio Row, everyone talks about it. So clearly, this game had impacts bigger than anything anyone ever anticipated, and to win with Aaron Rodgers, playoff hopes on the line. I mean, you name it. That was the game. Yeah. He was at home. We were away. We had everything going against us, and we found a way. And that was the difference. You said it in the second half of the year.
Now, you were born in Michigan, lived in Michigan, went to college at Michigan. How cool was it to get drafted by the Lions and get to play in your home state?
It's ridiculous. I'm taking the same expressway I took to high school. I just get off a little bit later. Yeah. It's just everything about this. It's so weird. I don't feel like I'm actually in the NFL because I feel like a lot of guys got a big move. They're a foreign area. Dude, I'm taking the same routes I've always known.
Yeah.
What is it like playing for Dan Campbell? And we also saw Hard Knocks, and we've seen Dan Campbell get up in front of a press conference and talk about biting kneecaps and all the rest of it.
Oh, yeah.
Passionate, I think, is an understatement. But what is it like to actually play for Dan on a day-in, day-out basis?
Really, what you see is what you get. That same intensity that you see on Hard Knocks, in interviews, it's very apparent all the way around. So, really, I love playing for a guy like that, and he's really a player's kind of coach. It's a guy that you want to strap it up for, you want to put on the pads for him, and you want to win for a guy like that.
He's super passionate, but he seems like he's got a really big heart as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's what he's driven by, his heart, his passion for the game, everything.
Would you say, Aaron Glenn did a heck of a job with you guys second half of the season. He actually got some looks as potentially being a head coach, which is going to come back. What would you say changed for you guys defensively second half of the year? Because it really wasn't so much of a personnel change as much as it just was a shift all of a sudden from you guys maybe defensively struggling first half of the year. The second half of the year, you guys were an asset to the team and really came on.
No doubt. I mean, there were small schematic changes that we made that we thought would better suit kind of our personnel, but also, we had a player-led team meeting and just taking accountability for our actions and taking accountability, every guy taking accountability for their mistakes and, not pointing fingers at a certain group and stuff like that. So that was the vibe in the middle of the season. I didn't know that turned into a 6-game win streak, though. I don't think anybody did.
Well, we know you got to get out of here, but we got to ask you. I'm sure everybody's asking you. Heading into Sunday, two we think really closely matched teams. Who you got?
Philly. Defensive line's going to win it.
All right.
Okay.
The defensive guy, of course, right?
Working for Bounty.
Yeah.
Seeing it, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming by.
Take it
Good to see you
easy.
again.
Yep, have a good one.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
All right. Aidan Hutchinson, one of the best young players in the NFL, 9.5 sacks,
incredible.
3 interceptions.
Yeah, you guys can leave the wings if you want. We'll get some later. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Right.
I meant everything I said, by the way, about the paper towels.
Yeah.
So the story I was going to tell is Mag bought. We usually get Bounty, and she bought it. She bought another kind of paper towel. They're like made of bamboo or something. Completely useless. And she signed up for the subscribe and save from Amazon. And so they just kept coming. And I was just like, look, I'm not using this. They're bullshit. I'm using
that shit in the trash.
And here's the thing. It's like they say, well, they're bamboo, like they're supposed to be more sustainable. But I got to use half the damn roll to clean up one mess because they don't absorb anything. Yeah, it's ridiculous. By the way, why aren't they bringing me drinks? Can someone get me a beer?
Because this is why you got to know your brand.
We're at the end of the line. This is the last day. That was the last interview.
This has become my brand. By the way, Mountain Dew, if you're out there, I can be bought.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Bounty, by the way.
I can also be rented.
That was Bounty. That was just a taste. That was just a free sample of what we can give you here at the Arrowhead Addict Podcast if you decide you want to sponsor us. Speaking of sponsors, can't do a show without shouting out our sponsor, the Kansas City Beer Company at KC Beer Co. We actually brewed a beer in collaboration with these guys back in December. They released it for the playoffs. It's available in the beer hall still in Kansas City. If you're going to be watching the Super Bowl, you need to go to KC Beer. They brought out some 6-packs. They sold out, so they made more 6-packs. They sold out again. So you can get a growler, I believe, if you want to get some to take home to watch the big game this weekend. But shout out to KC Beer, the largest independent brewery in Kansas City, the only one that focuses on German beer styles. They make their beer according to the Bavarian beer purity laws of 1516. They only use 4 ingredients. It's clean. It's delicious. Then. What's that?
I was in high school then.
Yeah, 1516.
Yeah.
You and Tony Gonzalez went to the same high school.
That's right. Unfortunately, he went to the gym afterwards.
Yeah, that's
I went
right.
to get pizza.
That's right.
Look,
I got my
just
water.
A plain water guy.
I got my water.
Disgrace.
Our guy Doug in KC says, "Gotta love the storytelling with Patrick Allen. Let's go. We all got to be good at something." It's a Verderame's drunk about 100 Mountain Dews this week. I mean, I'm telling you guys, like, you know, a lot of you have jobs that are way harder than we got.
Oh, yeah.
Sitting on our asses here, but
sitting here in short shorts.
It does take it. Yeah, it does take it.
Come on.
It does take a lot out of you. But it's so much fun to be down here. And again, we do this for you. Another thing I want to shout out, I know a lot of you guys watch Stag in the Box. You've been catching the coverage with Verderame. Shout out to Special Olympics. We've been partnering with them here at Fansided. We've been partnered with our special correspondent, Malcolm Harris Gowdy. You've been working with him all week.
Great job.
And I just want to say, if you guys haven't caught all the coverage from Malcolm, go to the Stack in the Box channel, check that out. And if you get the chance, volunteer at Special Olympics. They're all over the place. There are so many kids out there that the Special Olympics helps breaking down barriers. And we got to prove it this weekend with Malcolm. That a lot of people think about people with intellectual disabilities as being limited. And the Special Olympics is all about throwing that nonsense out. What was it like working with Malcolm this week?
It was great. And look, I'm going to be straight up. I think a lot of times people look at those who have, as you put it, intellectual disabilities as limited and lesser than. And it's bullshit. Because, frankly, I've worked with a lot of people in my career, and you know what? Malcolm was happy to be here every day. He knew his stuff.
Yeah.
He asked good questions. He was knowledgeable of the game. You know how many people I work with who don't have an intellectual disability who don't care, and they're not passionate, and they're in a lousy mood, and they don't know what they're talking about. Like I thought Malcolm did a terrific job all week.
Yeah.
I can't wait to cover the Super Bowl with him on Sunday. He's been an absolute pleasure to work with, as has the whole Special Olympics team.
It's inspiring, man. And, no
doubt.
It's sitting here like, Joe Montana comes over. Tony Gonzalez comes over. I've been in this business for over a decade. I'm nervous. I'm worried I'm not going to have enough questions. I'm sitting over there watching Malcolm before we went on, and Emmett Smith comes and sits down. Man doesn't seem nervous at all.
No.
Hey, Emmett, what's going on? Welcome. You know what I mean? It's absolutely
he's a real
incredible.
professional.
Yeah, he's a pro. He's an absolute pro. So I hope you get a chance to check out some of the coverage that we had, because if you enjoyed what Verderame and I did here, there were so many more people that Matt and Malcolm interviewed throughout the course of the week. It's hours and hours and hours of footage. And I also want to give a special shout out to Richard Durante, to Hunter Armour, to Sean Daly, our production crew here. There is Richard. Yeah, Hunter, come. Yeah, come.
Yeah.
We never see Hunter.
That's right.
These guys, listen, man. I'm telling you, and I know they got to get out of here because they got to catch a flight.
Richard and Sean Daly, Sean Daly's already out of here.
Yeah,
he took a red eye back last night. Did so much work along with Richard and Hunter with cutting up film, getting this stuff out here, setting this up. Listen, let me tell you something right now. If this was up to Patrick and I, there's no chance.
Nope.
The camera wouldn't even be connected.
No. The table would be on fire.
Would be a disaster.
Yeah.
I'd be at lunch right now.
And they were here every morning before all of us, getting everything set up.
Single day.
And they're going to keep working on the plane, editing stuff, making sure you guys get it. So, please give them a round of applause in the chat. Yep. They do it week in and week out for us here on the podcast. But, like, this production level here on the road,
it's even tougher.
You'd never understand all the work that goes into it. So shout out to them. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you for supporting our podcast throughout the last couple of years. It's really cool to be at the pinnacle here at the Super Bowl with our favorite team and be able to watch them hopefully bring home another championship. But win or lose, our guys are going to be there for you. Verderame's going to be covering the press conferences. Adam Best, Sterling Holmes, they're going to go live after the game. You're still going to have your pregame, postgame show, all that stuff. So we hope it's a win, and we hope you guys tune in, win or lose, after the game to the Arrowhead Addict podcast. And we're not going anywhere, man. As soon as we get home, we're going to take a breather, and then it's right on for the draft in Kansas City, baby. Yeah, right.
Saturday, I might have for about 4 days. We're not going anywhere. We know if the Chiefs do lose, it's a blow.
But come back to the podcast. We're still going to have our regularly scheduled shows.
Absolutely.
We're going to bring it for you all off season. But forget about that for now. Let's focus on the game. So one more time, let's give them our final predictions for the game. We did it yesterday. Let's do it one more time.
Chiefs 31-23. I think they'll be able to vary the offensive looks. I think they'll be able to use some more 2 and 3 tight end sets, as they've had a lot of success with, to help with those pass rushers off the edge. I just think the Chiefs have a much more varied approach on both sides of the ball. With Philly, you know what you're getting. With the Chiefs, you don't. I think having 2 weeks to prepare with the Chiefs coaching staff, I think that is the biggest advantage in this game. The Chiefs coaching staff, I think the Chiefs are going to win because they'll out-coach Philadelphia in this game.
I'm with you, man. I think the Chiefs win it 30-20. I just think that as tough as Philly is on defense, the Chiefs have gone up against a lot of really tough teams in their division, playing the Chargers twice, playing the Bengals, really tough defense, playing their dynamic and explosive offense, having to go up against the Buffalo Bills. The Chiefs are battle-tested. They've been here before. They have a Hall of Fame coach, a Hall of Fame quarterback, a Hall of Fame tight end, a Hall of Fame defensive tackle. That matters in a game like this, and I think it's going to give the Chiefs a little bit of an edge, and I think they end up winning by 10 in a game because I think if they can withstand the initial punch in the face from Philly on the defensive and offensive side of the ball, I think they'll be able to enforce their will on them late and start to pull away.
Well, let's hope we're right.
Yeah, let's hope we're right.
We'll find out in 2 days.
Yeah, we're going to get out of here, everybody. Short show today. Be back here for Sterling and Adam for a pregame show on Sunday. Details to come, halftime, postgame show. Verderame and I will see you next week. We might try to drop into the postgame podcast from our phones or something if we can. But thank you so much for your support all week and all season long. It's been an absolute blast. We will see you guys very, very soon. But until then, and I mean this more than I've ever said it in the history of this podcast, go Chiefs.